It was really, and I think that you kind of hit it on the head. It was really for him like losing his best friend.
Okay.
And he got super lonely and sad when she left.
Okay, I can see that.
And up until that point, he had really been described as like an outgoing and very friendly young man who people didn't mind being around. And then when his sister left home, he totally closed himself off and he didn't really want to be around anybody or talk to anyone.
I mean, it sucks when you don't have that person to talk to all the time.
Yeah, like, it's sad, but maybe we don't murder people.
Well,
yeah, you know? I get what you're saying, though. I agree with you.
I've been really good about not murdering people when I stop being friends with people. I don't know why.
Like, it's just... I don't know, like I keep it under control. Yeah. So I thought this was kind of interesting. He was described in most of the articles that I read as being what is called a hikikomori, which means, thank you Wikipedia for the definition, a reclusive adolescent or adult who withdraws from society and seeks extreme degrees of isolation and confinement. Hikikomori refers to both the phenomenon in general and the recluses themselves. Hikikomori have been described as loners or modern-day hermits.
Okay.
But that was the word that kept popping up. Was hikikomori. Specifically hikikomori. It's a fun word.
I can't put the wonderful inflection on it.
So Mutsuo, he becomes socially withdrawn, and his behavior is getting a little bit strange. Mm-hmm. And then he begins participating in this sort of creepy practice called yobai, which is basically night crawling, but it has deep roots in ancient Japanese customs.
Okay.
So to explain to you what yobai is, this is a quote that I pulled from historycollection.co. Yobai is an ancient Japanese custom practiced by young men and women to discover how sex works. Uh-huh. Young men would sneak into the woman's bedroom at night and make his intentions known, and if the woman consented, they would have intercourse, and then the couple would spend the night together in silence, and the man left in the morning. While the girl's parents knew about the situation, they would pretend that they didn't. In rural Japan, it was normal for men and women to find a spouse through yobai.
You know what my favorite part about that statement is? Consent!
Yeah, absolutely. But still, don't creep into my house. Do not sneak up on me like that.
I mean, samesies.
If I wake up and there's a strange naked man in my room who I've never seen before...
This is true.
I'm coming at you with my katana. Okay? We're not even discriminating. I don't know who you are. It's dark. I can't find the light, and I'm just gonna start hacking away.
I mean,
Sava's gonna jump on them.
Yeah, my dog's gonna attack you. I'm gonna be hitting you with my purse, whatever it takes, man.
I'm gonna hit you. I don't know you.
Purse first.
Precisely, purse first. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I have like Weird Owl night vision, so I'd be like, why are you in my room?
Okay, so here's where our familiar face comes into the story.
Huzzah! I'm sad that it's happening so early, but I'm still very excited.
So somebody who we have covered before on the show is about to come into the story. Mutsuo became obsessed with the story of Sada Abe, which for anybody who is not familiar with it, Sada Abe was a failed geisha turned sex worker who famously cut off her lover's penis and testicles after strangling him to death with her kimono sash. And that's episode 11. It's called Get It Goro, if you want to hear the whole story. Anyway, back to this douche canoe Jones. Mutsuo, he's obsessed with the story of Sada Abe, and after reading her testimony, he was so inspired by it that he began working on a novel about what I cannot even imagine.
I was hoping it was about her.
I cannot imagine what it was about, but it does not matter because he did not get very far.
Okay.
So in May of 1937, Mutsuo was diagnosed with tuberculosis, the very same disease that had claimed the lives of both of his parents.
So he now has a ticking clock, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Seeing as he was already kind of starting to lose it before his diagnosis, it's no shock that this was the news that put him over the edge, because homeboy kind of just cracked after that.
Yeah.
And tuberculosis, especially at the time, was basically a death sentence.
Truly.
And he had been having sex with women in his village through that Japanese custom, yobai, but after ladies in the village learned of his condition, almost all of them began rejecting his advances.
Well, no kidding. That is horrifically problematic. I would be like, you know what? No sex is that good. I'm sorry.
It's not me, it's you.
It might be because you have an actually deadly disease.
Yeah. I'm not feeling great tonight. I've got a little cough. It's not tuberculosis. I don't want that.
I had to wash my hair.
I'm just really, really busy. Like, I've got to go feed all the chickens and, like, my pet llama.
My pet llama. It spat on me. I have to go cleanse myself. You can't come over tonight.
But yeah, maybe in the future, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll text you.
Yeah, just hit me up. When you're back in
and
town.
then he starts sending good morning texts, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in danger.
I am nervous.
Oh God, did we go too far?
No.
So, they're all rejecting him, and Mutsuo, he gets all butthurt about this.
Well,
yeah. And instead of just accepting that it was because of his tuberculosis, he was convinced that women, even the few that were still getting busy with him, because there were a couple, all hated him because of his hypersexuality.
Oh my goodness.
Like his big, active, manly libido. It was just too much for everybody to handle.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And it's like, no, maybe they just hate you because you're an asshole.
Or maybe they don't want to die to have sex with you, sir.
It's not their fault that you got tuberculosis, and, like, they just don't want any part of that.
No.
It's a bad time.
Why is this still ongoing?
I know.
How dare you not want to do the thing I want you to do?
But he was an asshole.
Well,
like,
I
that,
can
just like
see this.
Just that, like, way of thinking is just like, bro, you need to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's just, like, stewing in all of this, right?
Yeah. In his tuberculosis stew.
And he's becoming even more lonely and isolated than he already was. And seeing as the tuberculosis was most likely going to kill him, he kind of just decided that he had nothing left to lose. Like, if he was going to go out, he was going to bring with him a whole bunch of people who he believed had in some way wronged him.
Super.
Yeah.
And there's still people like that everywhere right now.
That is very true. Yeah. And that's right around the time once he decided that he started collecting weapons. And he also had written a couple different suicide notes. In his suicide notes, he described feeling like a social pariah and had mentioned that he was angry about the way that his neighbors were treating him since learning of his tuberculosis.
What is wrong with you?
And he stated that he wished he could kill everyone in the village, but wouldn't because that would mean killing people he regarded as innocent as well.
Oh, because you're like, what, a godly force now? I'm confused.
Absolutely. But really, I mean, when I say innocent, like people who he didn't feel had, like, hurt his feelings.
Right.
He was all butthurt about everything,
yeah,
you know?
my poor little male feelings.
Yeah. Oh, my male ego, it's just shattered.
My daddy didn't love me because he died really early from a disease I currently have.
Shame.
You just spilled the fucking tea everywhere. The kettle's not even on the stove anymore. That was great. That's staying in. So one of the last things to point out that he had stated in his notes was that his grandmother would absolutely have to die so that she would not have to live with the shame of what he was going to do.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. As funny as that is.
Oh, it's super funny. Like, you know what I want to do? I want to kill my grandmother.
Who, took me and my sister in and raised us and loved us.
Why wouldn't you just, like, look at your grandmother and be like, oh, she raised me. I don't want her to have to live with this kind of shame. Maybe not do that.
How about this? Maybe we just don't kill anybody and then there's no shame.
Yeah.
And no one has to die.
Yeah. How weird is this? Don't bring shame to your family. Don't make your people feel bad. Don't do the weird shit that you want to do because you're a vengeful monster.
Yeah, maybe just finish your terrible romance novel and that can be your legacy.
Harlequin romance. Sada Abe. Oh, it's on the front. It's like a Fabio, like carrying that, whatever the gal is, like a Fabio-esque human.
Oh, yeah.
With that weird filtery thing on the top of it. And she's like laying back like, oh.
So the massacre that was about to happen could potentially have been prevented.
No kidding.
Everybody in town knew that Mutsuo was mentally not well, and he had been openly discussing his plans with some neighbors who were so concerned that they went right to the police and told them about it. So they go to the police, and then they pay a visit to Mutsuo at his house, and then they confiscated a gun that they had found in his possession, and then that was it. So other than taking away the gun that they found, nothing else happened, and they just kind of were on their merry way.
They were like, how dare you?
Yeah. And on top of that, so now that they've come here and they've done this and they've talked to him about what they've been told and they search through his shit and they take the gun, he knows that somebody ratted him out. And he now knows that he can't trust anyone.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not clear whether he went out and purchased a Browning shotgun or whether it was just really well hidden and the authorities didn't find it. Mm-hmm. But regardless, he wound up having one that nobody knew about. And he was making sure the second time around, he kept his mouth shut. There was something to do with his possession of the gun that was illegal. I don't know the technicalities of it, but a lot of people fault authorities in this case for not having followed through as well as they maybe could have, because they could have actually arrested him and put him in lockup, and that would have maybe prevented him from carrying out his plans that happened a few days later.
Okay.
It was anywhere from like 4 days to a week, but it was a pretty short period of time.
Okay.
So, on the evening of May 20th, 1938, Mutsuo prepared his weapons, which included a katana,
okay,
an axe, and a shotgun. So he waited until nightfall and went out, where he proceeded to cut the electricity to the entire village. So everybody was in complete darkness. And he did this real late, and then around 1:30 a.m., he claimed the life of his first victim.
Okay.
And that victim was his grandmother.
Ugh.
And he chose to cut her head off with his axe, fully decapitating her. Yep.
Was he, like, strong? That's kind of hard.
After that, he strapped 2 flashlights to his head and set out upon the town. So he crept from home to home, killing people whom he believed had insulted him in some sort of way or wronged him. And
because everyone's wrong but him.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Ugh.
And a lot of those people were young women who wouldn't sleep with him.
Right, because how dare they not be like, ooh, I love tuberculosis.
Yeah, and also...
Incurable? Okay.
And how about, I don't have to have a fucking reason. I could just not want to sleep with you, and that's my reason.
Also, you're not honoring the spirit of the consent part, mister.
You're being a douche canoe Jones. Precisely. So the massacre lasted about 90 minutes, and in the end, the death count was at 30. Mutsuo Toei had murdered half of his village.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, that seems like a lot for 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, 90 minutes for a massacre is a really long time. So, like a lot of spree killers, Mutsuo was not about to wait around for authorities to apprehend him.
Uh-huh.
At dawn, he shot himself in the chest with his Browning shotgun. At the time, this massacre was the second largest in modern history. The carnage left behind after that massacre had completely destroyed what was left of the community.
Yeah, when you're like looking around like there's half of us.
In 1983, a film was released titled Village of Doom.
Uh-huh.
While Village of Doom is based off the true story of the Tsuyama massacre, it's inaccurate in so many ways. Overall, from where the start of the massacre happens to the point where he kills himself, it's about 20 minutes.
Did they present it as like a biopic? Or were they just like, oh, this is kind of loosely based on this?
I think it was supposed to be like a different story, but it was inspired by the Tsuyama massacre. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think that the character that's supposed to be Mutsuo Toei has like a different name in the movie too. But they basically took what happened, they just changed it a little bit. Because even during the massacre scene, when he's like going from house to house and killing people, he's like bitching and moaning about how they've wronged him and how he doesn't want to kill this one person because he thinks they're innocent. And it's so stupid, honestly. And watching 20 minutes of just like so many people being murdered, it's just a bummer.
Well,
it's a bummer.
I also kind of feel like he was probably just muttering like, this person's innocent to himself while he was walking anyway, because he obviously was pretty self-righteous.
Mm-hmm. But aside from all that horror, I do want to give kind of a big shout out to historycollection.co for having an amazing article about this case, which helped out a lot. Also, it's a really cool website, and they had some really fascinating articles on there that I'm excited to check out. But yeah, that was my story. That was the Tsuyama massacre.
How dare you, sir?
Ugh, I know.
I'm I'm agitated at him, obviously well too late, for being the same human as we unfortunately are seeing today. It's like, how dare you have wronged me for no reason because I have a disease that will literally kill you.
I know. It was so stupid.
I enjoyed the cameo of Sada Abe. These aren't super traditional Pim's cups in the manner of which I like them because I don't have a muddler. Mm-hmm. But I did crush them with my little angry tiny boy hands.
It smells beautiful.
But you also only have the